The most expensive no in basketball history just happened. When Caitlin Clark turned down Geno Auriemma's desperate $1 million offer, she didn't just reject money, she destroyed an empire that took 40 years to build. But here's what nobody's talking about. The real reason she said no goes deeper than anyone imagined, and what's happening right now in 2025 is making Geno's situation even worse. Before we dive into this shocking revelation, if you're Team Caitlin Clark, hit that like button right now and let's show the WNBA establishment that the new generation is here to stay. Think about this. Geno Auriemma spent 4 decades as the untouchable king of women's basketball. 11 national championships, 20 Final Fours, the architect of UConn's dynasty. He decided who mattered in this sport until one 22-year-old from Iowa said 2 words that changed everything: not interested. Those 2 words didn't just reject an offer, they exposed a crack in the foundation that's now becoming a full collapse. The story starts with the biggest recruiting mistake in college basketball history. When Caitlin Clark was coming out of high school, she wasn't just another prospect. Scouts were already calling her generational. She grew up idolizing UConn, admitting publicly that it was her dream school, the dynasty, the tradition, playing where Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird became legends. For a kid from West Des Moines, UConn was basketball heaven. But Geno never called, not once. His excuse was laughable. He already had Paige Bueckers committed and didn't want 2-point guards, as if having 2 transcendent talents was somehow a problem. Then came the insult that Clark would never forget. Geno suggested that if she really wanted UConn, she should have called him first. The greatest women's basketball recruiter ever wanted a 17-year-old to chase him. But that wasn't the whole story. What really happened behind closed doors was even more revealing. Sources close to the UConn program revealed that Geno genuinely didn't think Clark's style would work at the next level. He called her game playground basketball in private meetings. He thought her logo threes were gimmicks that wouldn't translate. He believed Paige Bueckers was the safer, more traditional choice. That decision would cost him everything. Clark chose Iowa instead, and from day one, she turned that program into must-watch television. Her freshman year, she averaged 27 points. By her junior year, she was dropping 40-point triple-doubles like they were routine. She didn't just break records, she obliterated them. The all-time Division I scoring record, men's or women's, belonged to her. But more importantly, she did something Geno's dynasty never could. She made women's basketball mainstream. Arenas that used to have 5,000 fans suddenly needed extra security for sellouts. Games that used to air on streaming services were now on primetime ESPN. What happened next would shock everyone in the basketball world. As Clark's star rose, Geno couldn't help himself. Every interview, every podcast, he found ways to diminish her accomplishments. When asked about her logo threes, he called them driveway shots. When pressed about her impact, he'd immediately pivot to talking about Paige Bueckers or his former players. It wasn't subtle, it was desperate. The king was watching his throne slip away, and everyone could see it. Then came June 2024, the moment Geno crossed a line he could never uncross. On the Dan Patrick Show, he didn't just question Clark, he attacked her entire fan base. He called them delusional for thinking she could compete for WNBA MVP as a rookie. He said they were so stupid they were damaging women's basketball. Think about that, millions of new fans flooding into the sport because of one player, and the supposed godfather of women's basketball was calling them idiots. He literally said Clark's supporters didn't understand basketball and were disrespecting the game by believing in her. The response from Clark was perfect. She said nothing, not a word, no tweets, no interviews, no drama. She just went out and proved him wrong in the most devastating way possible. She won Rookie of the Year unanimously. She made all WNBA first team. And here's the beautiful part. She finished 4th in MVP voting, exactly where those delusional fans predicted she would. Every single thing Geno mocked became reality, but the real revenge was still coming. Fast forward to late 2024 and Geno's world was crumbling. UConn hadn't won a championship since 2016, their longest drought in program history. Recruiting was suffering because top players saw what happened with Clark and started questioning if Geno could recognize modern talent. The program that once dominated was becoming irrelevant. Meanwhile, Clark had turned the Indiana Fever from laughingstock to playoff team in one season. She was selling more jerseys than entire franchises. Her games were outdrawing NBA matchups. That's when desperation set in. Sources inside UConn Athletics revealed that Geno made a shocking move. He reached out to Clark's camp with an unprecedented offer, over $1 million for just 8 weeks of work. He wanted her to join UConn's summer basketball camps, to be the face of their recruiting efforts, to essentially save his legacy by association. The same coach who wouldn't pick up the phone to recruit her was now begging for her help. The irony was delicious. But here's what nobody knows about that offer. It wasn't just about money. Geno included provisions that would have given Clark input on UConn's offensive system, essentially admitting that her playground basketball was actually the future. He offered to create a special position just for her within the program. He even suggested naming a court after her if she helped bring UConn back to prominence. This wasn't just an olive branch, it was complete surrender. Clark's response was swift and brutal. She didn't negotiate, she didn't counter, she simply said no through her representatives and moved on. No explanation needed. The message was crystal clear. You had your chance and you blew it. Some things money can't buy, and respect is one of them. The aftermath has been catastrophic for Geno. Recruiting for 2025 has been a disaster. 3 5-star prospects who are considering UConn have publicly stated they want to play in systems that embrace modern basketball, a direct shot at Geno's outdated philosophy. Attendance at UConn games is down 30% from their peak. Most damaging of all, whispers around the program suggest major donors are questioning whether it's time for new leadership. Meanwhile, Clark just signed the largest rookie endorsement deal in women's sports history with Nike, reportedly worth $28 million over 4 years. She's launching her own signature shoe before her second WNBA season. She has a documentary series coming to Netflix. Every success is another reminder to Geno of what he threw away, but the story gets even better. What's happening right now in 2025 is the complete reversal of power. Clark isn't just the face of the WNBA, she's becoming the most powerful figure in women's basketball, period. When she speaks, commissioners listen. When she posts, millions engage. When she plays, records break. She's doing nationally televised commercials during NFL playoffs. She's sitting courtside at NBA games as a celebrity guest. She's transcended basketball entirely. And Geno, he's watching his empire crumble in real time. UConn just lost to an unranked team at home for the first time in 15 years. His post-game press conferences have become increasingly bitter, taking shots at modern players who care more about social media than fundamentals. Everyone knows who he's talking about. The recruitment misses keep piling up. 4 top 10 prospects in the 2025 class have chosen other schools, specifically citing wanting to play in more innovative systems. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Recent reports suggest Geno tried one more desperate move. He allegedly reached out to Clark about a potential collaboration for a basketball camp in 2025, offering to split profits 50-50. He wanted to use her name and image to attract young players, essentially admitting he needs her credibility to remain relevant. Clark's team didn't even respond to the inquiry. The silence was louder than any rejection. The psychological warfare is beautiful to watch. Clark continues to thrive without ever mentioning Geno's name. She doesn't need to. Her success is the ultimate response. Every sold-out arena, every record broken, every young girl wearing her jersey is a reminder that Geno bet against the wrong horse. He chose tradition over innovation, ego over evolution, and it cost him everything. What makes this even more satisfying is how Clark has handled other coaches who doubted her. Dawn Staley, who initially questioned Clark's style, publicly apologized and called her transformational. Kim Mulkey admitted she was wrong about Clark's impact. Even Diana Taurasi, who warned Clark about WNBA reality, has praised her growth. Everyone evolved except Geno. Everyone admitted they were wrong except the one coach whose opinion mattered most. The financial impact alone is staggering. Experts estimate that having Clark associated with UConn's program could have been worth $50 million in increased revenue over 5 years through merchandise, ticket sales, and media rights. Instead, that money is flowing to Iowa, to the Fever, to everyone except UConn. Geno's pride literally cost his program generational wealth, but the real damage is to his legacy. For 40 years, Geno Auriemma was considered infallible in talent evaluation. He was the coach who could spot greatness before anyone else. Now, he'll forever be remembered as the coach who passed on Caitlin Clark, the coach who had the future of basketball in his backyard and chose to ignore it, the coach whose ego was so massive he couldn't admit when he was wrong until it was far too late. The latest development is perhaps the most telling. UConn's athletic department recently announced a comprehensive review of their women's basketball program's direction. They're calling it modernization, but everyone knows what it really is: panic. They're desperately trying to adapt to the game Clark revolutionized while she was supposedly playing driveway basketball. The same shots Geno mocked are now being practiced at UConn. The same style he dismissed is now being taught. The student has become the teacher without ever stepping foot in stores. Clark's revenge tour isn't stopping either. She just announced plans for her own youth basketball academy, set to launch this summer. The location? Connecticut. Not in stores, but close enough to send a message. She's literally building her empire in Geno's backyard, offering young players the mentorship and recognition he denied her. Early registration reportedly crashed the website within minutes. The most painful part for Geno must be watching Clark elevate everyone around her. Sophie Cunningham, her teammate in Indiana, just had her best statistical season thanks to playing alongside Clark. The Fever went from worst to first in attendance. The entire WNBA saw a 47% increase in viewership. Everyone who embraced Clark benefited. Everyone except the one coach who pushed her away. As we head deeper into 2025, the gap only widens. Clark is rumored to be in talks for her own ESPN show. She's becoming a regular at major sporting events as a commentator and analyst. She's transcending athlete status and becoming a media mogul. Meanwhile, Geno's press conferences get smaller, his recruiting classes get weaker, and his dynasty becomes a memory. The ultimate irony? Geno created this monster himself. By dismissing Clark, by disrespecting her fans, by refusing to evolve, he gave her the motivation to destroy everything he built. She didn't need anger or confrontation. She just needed to be herself and let success do the talking. And now, every success is a dagger to his legacy. If you think Caitlin Clark's revenge story is the ultimate karma, drop a comment below about which coach or player you think deserved this humbling the most. And don't forget to subscribe because we're covering every moment of this historic rivalry as it continues to unfold in 2025. The lesson here is bigger than basketball. It's about respect, evolution, and the danger of dismissing the next generation. Geno Auriemma thought he was too big to fail, too established to be challenged, too important to need Caitlin Clark. He learned the hard way that in sports, like in life, pride comes before the fall. And when you're falling from the mountaintop of women's basketball, it's a long, painful way down. Clark didn't push him. She just refused to catch him when he finally reached out for help. That's not just revenge, that's poetic justice.